All right, we are on air. So welcome everyone to the City Council Business and Community Affairs Committee meeting of Thursday, January 4th, 2024. I am sitting in today for Councilmember Peacock, who is out of town, and we have two items on our agenda. So we will start with item number 1, discussion regarding options for pattern zoning projects, including potential requests for proposals. So I will hand it off to Jane Hudson.
Thank you very much. So as you stated, we are here to discuss the options for pattern zoning, possibly an RFP being released. I've got just a few slides here for you I want to go over. Just briefly, pattern zoning, it's simply a method of planning zoning for an area, and it utilizes the pre-approved construction plans for that area. The map, as you see here, is the area that we had discussed previously, possibly for utilizing the pattern zoning. You'll notice that the bold outline there, that is actually the existing core area, and then the hatched area here to the west, extending over to 24th Avenue, that's the area that is proposed to be included. So it would be the entire area that you're seeing there on this map, should it move forward with this. So some of the things that we've identified in going through this and reading some of the documents and the research in some of the other cities that have utilized this, we would be looking at a by right administrative approval of these plans. Now that is, or can be, I've noted here, it's building code. So there are a couple routes that we can go, and we'll talk about that as we get into this further. But initially, what we're looking at is a set of plans that have been reviewed and approved for what the city has adopted as the building codes. It definitely creates some infill opportunities in areas, available lots, redevelopment of lots, and it's easy to adopt because you get pre-approved plans for the zones or for the specific neighborhoods, and again we'll kind of dive into that a little bit deeper here as we go through this. And this is what I want to talk about. So some of our options that we have, we can for the RFP, and I'm really looking at how we will set up this RFP that we'll send out. So I want to know, are we going to be looking at asking them to do a parcel by parcel review and have in these zones, however we break this up into these neighborhoods, we've got old silk stocking neighborhoods, we've got, the existing neighborhoods in town. And so as we go through this, will we focus on these different neighborhoods and have these pre-approved plans for those zones or areas? Or do we want to just have a catalog of these plans that the consultant has come in and said, these plans would typically fit within the community, within this map that I've shown you. But in that case, we would still require a parcel / a site review once the applicant has selected those plans. We're going to be looking at easements, possible floodplain, coverage, and so on and so forth like that. One of the things in talking with staff about this is if we have the catalog, there's going to be plans that are just not going to fit on some of these lots. So they would have to say, well, I want this one, well, that one doesn't work. Well, I want this one, well, that one doesn't work. So the benefit, which it's a huge task, I don't want to minimize it by any means, the benefit of doing the parcel by parcel review, we know that the plans that we get are going to fit on these lots. But it is.
So I'm thinking, we have Center City, which is also within this area, and so those already have pre-designed kind of places. So is it thinking about the other areas within the map that we've identified would be similar to something like that if we do a parcel by parcel? Like there could be certain zones or certain parcels that have a color, and then it's coordinated to what can fit and is pre-approved on that parcel.
So that's one of my next slides is
okay.
Discussing those areas specifically, is trying to figure out how we want to focus in those areas with those plans. So again, not mandatory, but we're still creating the options for development on a smaller scale, like you said. So in the RFP that we're going to be sending out, do we want to, because we do have areas that are zoned R1, we do have areas R2, 3. Do we want to look at only having single-family plans? Do we want to have them give us an option for duplexes? Do we want to have them look at some options for the ADUs as well? And then you get into the other districts, the historic districts, the CINZOD, and then the Center City Form-Based Code. If someone is, let's just say we use Center City Form-Based Code because you brought that up. If we get a set of plans that we like for the Center City, and we know that it would work for the specific block that someone's looking at, it's no DRT, it's no review. I mean, they come in, they get their permit, they're done. So we know that we're getting the plans that we looked at and we like for that area, as opposed to something else. I do want to say this though, in a lot of the reading that I did, a lot of these cities, in the articles and everything, they talked about how their zoning regulations, and it would take 3 to 5 days just to get a single family permit. I mean, we do single family permits in 2 days. Sometimes it's the same day. So I mean, we are very fast in compared to other cities anyway. But this is still going to be at least a day to process the permit anyway. So they can't just walk in an hour and get it. Probably, maybe so. I don't know. We'll have to see. But
Yeah, I mean, so for this question specifically, I was thinking that we would have different types of options for different areas that it makes sense. So like in the R1, we would have options for R1. In places where, we have multifamily, or in Center City, like we would have different options that are not available in the single family. So I think that all makes sense. I think that it probably makes sense as we're continuing the ADU discussion, to have that wrapped into this, since that's going to be something that we're hoping to have available in single family and some other areas, which would, I think, be great for the area that is designated, as we think about redevelopment in some of those areas. So that's where I would say yes, I would like to see different options depending on what zoning type we have.
if we're going to do it, we might as well do
Right.
everything that we can to help that redevelopment process go forward. So.
Agreed. Councilman Holman.
Definitely agree. We should do all of them. For clarification, the historic district, for example, there would be a set of various plans for houses, structures that could be built in the historic district
Yeah, I'm glad you circled back around on that one.
that would include the correct type of windows, the correct type of siding that's allowed in the historic district. So those plans would already conform to the historic district regulations. And so it'd be like, if this is what you can build in the Chautauqua Historic District. And it already includes the requirements. That's the way I understand it.
I would think that would be the process. Again, the consultants would have to go to HD and say, these are the plans that we've, for the different, our 4 districts.
So the Historic District Commission would review that proposal
Would have
and
to.
say, yes, we think those work or not. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm for doing it in this whole area, and really eventually like to see the whole city have not that you have to only be able to build this 10 houses, but that there are pre-approved plans that would work throughout the entire city for people. So, because at some point, other areas that are not in the core are going to have redevelopment issues and things like that. So, but I think this is a good start. Yeah.
Councilmember Grant.
I have 2 questions. One is about phasing, but first, maybe some clarification on the CINZOD part of this. So what could that look like in that particular area?
So the Senzod, is in the overlay district, and with within that, they have to, if they're doing more than 4 bedrooms, they have to get special use and stuff like that. But if we already have a set of plans that we've looked at and said, yes, they're approvable for that area, they meet the goals and standards that we want for that area, maybe we don't necessarily get rid of the Senzod, but they would just get, again, it's that automatic approval. If we've looked at it and said, I say we, you, the community, as we move, through this process, if it's been reviewed and we think that it's something that fits in that neighborhood, then it would be one of the plans in the catalog.
And the reason I asked for that is because in my mind, single family and Senzod, I'm like, what's really the difference? I guess it's going to be the bedroom number, because in other parts of, my ward, I'm thinking, single family could have more rooms. The other part about phasing, could we, does it have to be all together? Or if we know we want ADUs to hit the ground running, could we fast track that one? And I also see where it would have overlap with places like the Senzod and all of it really, but would it, and also I happen to know somebody who said they would turn over their cash free of charge, pattern book of their ideal ADUs, but I do think that one could be developed quickly.
So as far as that, when the RFP goes out, actually put that as the priority, and then
Yes, I was just thinking of it in phases, because if you wait to do all of it together, how long will that take before you have all the pattern books together? Now you're releasing all of them, so.
if they're going through the neighborhoods to look at what would be developable on the lot, I almost think it would be doubling up to do the ADUs and then go back and do the single family. I don't know. I mean, I think that's what they need to show to us, how they're going to do that for us.
Okay.
Yeah, and how long it would take.
Yeah, because I know that we're working on the ADU ordinance, and it would be great when passed that there was the option for people in a certain income range to maybe save on some costs and have a pattern book for ADUs specifically that they could speed up their process. And I'm just thinking about people across the spectrum of, kids with disability or elderly family member or whatever living situations. And I think that was it for me. So.
I guess I have a question similarly related to the phasing. What is our timeline for this? What do we think? When would the RFP go out? How long would we give somebody? What are we shooting for?
Well, moving past today, I mean, I would want to get the RFP done as soon as possible.
Yeah.
As soon as possible. I mean,
Okay.
honestly, we would just team up and get staff working on it as fast as we could, and then I'm trying to remember. Did we give them 30 days when we did the?
That was gonna be my question.
Okay, did we do 30 days? So 30 days.
For the RFP to collect
That would be their deadline.
proposals. Okay.
Yeah, somebody requested for, yeah. But I think 30 would be fine for this one.
So do we have to have a discussion about, and I don't know if you feel like you already have the answer about parcel by parcel or just doing a catalog, but does any people on the committee have feelings about which route we should go?
I like the parcel by parcel. Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, I feel like we might as well take the whole
We're
chunk.
gonna do it,
Yeah, and really kind of have a comprehensive review of all of it, because then that's, I feel like, less staff time too. If they're doing all of that work, then you don't have to go back and say, oh, this one doesn't fit and kind of have that negotiation, which is going to slow the process, and that's not the intent of this. It's really to allow people to know exactly what can be built, pick the plans, and then move forward.
Takes
really-
into account corner lots and
Right.
oddly shaped lots and.
I mean, some of
stuff
the
like
issues that we've had with Center City,
Yes.
like corner lots and different things, so this could help us in those specific areas too.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, if they brought in that approved plan that we have, have for that Center City area, and that's a month they've saved instead of having to go to DRT, so
Yeah,
perfect.
amazing. Councilmember Great.
And I might have missed this because I came in 3 minutes late.
You're
But
fine.
with that parcel by parcel, is it looking at like if something's illegally subdivided or
That's the other
other
thing.
weird things?
That's the other thing it'll point out, yeah, it'll be a huge benefit, because that's one of the things I was concerned with the ADUs is it a legal lot or not? So, yeah, definitely.
Okay, yeah, well, definitely for that.
Any other questions that we need to discuss or kind of things moving forward?
I don't think so, and that was, what I needed to know is if you wanted the single-family duplex, the ADUs, and then including the Sensat and the Center City areas. And you don't want mixed-use buildings and commercial buildings at this point.
Are those best done on a case by case? I would just wonder about I guess it depends on where it's going.
I think people should come forward and let you take a look at if they're going to be putting commercial or mixed use next to in a residential
Residential,
neighborhood
yeah.
or something like that. I think you guys need to have that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the only place that right now is zoned in some of those ways is Center City form-based code. So maybe it would make sense when they're looking in the Center City area to think about what those uses might be. But I mean, a large swath of that whole area is not zoned that way, and so those would have to come forward to update the zoning anyway, and that's a different process.
Okay.
Councilmember.
Yeah, I'd say for probably Center City, downtown area, where we
For currently
where we
zoned.
would be most likely to see mixed use would be in those areas, I would assume. So maybe there, and then other commercial areas would come forward through the regular process.
Okay.
But it would be maybe nice in the Center City to have some pre-approved mixed-use buildings
I think
that,
it would. It would be, and like I said, it might be the opportunity for
and downtown just
local
in general.
developers
yeah.
to come in and utilize that.
Okay, that's, that'd be good.
Councilmember Gray.
Uh,
Do you want to go first, or do you want to?
yeah. It's also in the mixed use vein and thinking about those weird corners in Center City. So we're saying a pattern book could be for all our weird corners. Like these are some options that would fit right here given the zoning, the power lines, whatever. I think. Oh, also, so I would just think about the opportunity to redevelop parking lots. So if we were just keeping it to Center City, then if we were looking at a place like Ed Noble Parkway, we wouldn't be thinking of a pattern that could fit there.
The map doesn't go over that far.
Oh, okay.
Or- yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Not fully to the
Here, let
highway,
me-
not over the
Something for
highway.
the
is.
future though, for sure.
So the hatched side is the extra piece that we're adding to Center City. So the one that has the hard boundary
that's
is
right.
the designation of Center City.
Core area.
Yeah, we were talking
Or sorry,
about
yes,
that, I remember.
Core Norman.
Okay, but yeah, there's probably some other parking lots in this area that could definitely be a mixed use situation if it was commercial.
Just for clarification, mixed use is a building that has a business on the bottom and apartments on the top? Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Do we need to come back?
Does we feel like we need to come back before the RFP?
I don't-
Not to Baca, I think probably it could move on.
Yeah.
Okay. We will move on to item number 2, which is continued discussion regarding operating policies for the Young Family Athletic Center, and I will recognize Jason Wilson.
I was really hoping Jane would continue to mine. I guess that didn't work out for me, but
No.
let me see. I'm still learning how to use a computer, so be patient. All right, there we go.
It's 2024, Jason.
I know.
Almost 25 years into this century.
Exactly. Just giving y'all a little bit of update on facility policies. We came to Baca last month, and y'all asked for us to kind of update policies of what we kind of presented to you. But real quick, just to give you a little update on the center. Here's a picture of what it looks like right now, or what it did look like until they started doing a little bit more work inside the gym. It's this is from the clinic overlooking the gym portion, just from a different corner inside the gym. This is looking at the video screen that's inside the gym. It's approximately 74 foot wide. When we do have esports going on, which we think we can attract big tournaments to go along with that. That can be divided equally into 3 different screens that anybody that's sitting in the gymnasium portion can see. You see all those little boxes right now. They have the whole background for it. All those boxes hold about a 12-inch panel that goes on there, and I think there's about 500 or 600 of those panels that get plugged in there completely to complete that screen. This is a look at the side of the retail space that we have going on right there. We have a basketball court paint on the floor. We're still working with the Trae Young Family Foundation to come up with an agreement to operate that space. One of our conference rooms. Just keep looking at one of the pools. I wanted to bring up that right now we're working with the contractor. All the deck work that goes completely around the pool. We rejected that work, so there's problems with the drainage. It's not completely all perfect. It goes into that deck drain. As you can see in that bottom corner is a deck drain that goes all the way around. That wasn't straight. Some of that was peeking up above the concrete, and the swirl. They have a swirl pattern on there for when you're walking, that you have a certain kind of grip to make sure you have on there. It wasn't consistent on the north side of the pool. It was really deep, and as we were looking at that, we were scared that could possibly cut wet feet. So we proposed to our general contractor that's out there right now to completely remove all the concrete, replace it. They have agreed to that at no cost to the city. We're also same thing happening in the recreation pool. We rejected all this concrete. You can kind of see the drain areas. We rejected that, and they cut it out. Wasn't going to replace it, but we did put them on pause on that. Same thing in here. We rejected the concrete inside here, but in much smaller area in here. We did come to a compromise to save them time because it's very extensive. That's about a 8 or 10 inch thick concrete that's going right there. Instead of replacing that, we've come to an agreement that they will put tile in there. The city has to purchase the tile to go in there, but they look at that as added value. So that's just kind of our compromise to go in there instead of them ripping out all that concrete. We think the cost of the tile is about $20,000. So we think that the added value to that is probably worth that area going into that small rec pool. What y'all asked us to come back with was basically to update this policy, and I think what we heard last time was just to make sure that we are clear on what activities and how much time we have for the public to spend in there, and make sure that they have a greater share of all the time inside the YFAC. So we did take out non-passive and only left the passive activities. That's the only thing that we edited up there, and after our discussion and internal talks between the Parks Department and our supervisors out there. We're gonna work out having both at least 100 hours of open community time at no cost to the public, in addition to adding in that Sunday times, which I think everybody was kind of agreeable that we needed to be open on 7 days a week. So we added all that in, and hopefully that is to everybody's liking, and we can go ahead and take this to park board for approval. And we are, and I'll read this to make sure everybody kind of knows what's going on, is that the YFAC will be open to the public. Non-holiday weeks, a minimum of 80 hours. The Parks and Recreation Department commits to have the center available for Norman residents for passive activities at an average of 70 hours per week. The Parks and Rec Department and the YFAC will commit to having a minimum of 100 hours of community open gym / swim time annually for Norman residents at no cost, open to the facility for public scheduled open and passive activities. The only thing that we kind of took out there when we were talking about the extra 100 hours last time was doing that outside of normal operating hours. So we're probably going to fit some of that time into our normal operating hours. So if we're opening on Sundays, there'll be we'll try to hit a couple Sundays a month where anybody can come in at no cost, as long as you're a Norman resident.
Jason, is there a definition for passive activities within the agreement?
When you're looking at like the recreation field, it's pretty common to refer to passive activities as basically non-programmed activities. Is where somebody can come in and inside the YFAC, pickleball, shoot baskets, play volleyball, go swimming, just anything that we have available or not programmed at that time. And depending on what time of the week it is, we'll definitely try to have, as we get towards the weekend and we know we're going to have basketball games on the weekend, we'll probably take up our pickleball courts. They're all going to be taped on. So we'll tape them on early in the week and probably remove them towards the end of the week. And two reasons for that. One, we want to make sure pickleball has plenty of time to place inside. And also, too, is recommendation from our floor manufacturer not to leave tape down there. They don't want any longer than 72 hours because then it kind of messes with your surface. So this to constantly take it up and remove it, and then probably rotate the courts that we have it on. Long answer. I know you asked a simple question and I ramble to make it complicated.
No, I just wanted to make sure that people understand what
Yeah.
passive activities stands for, and that this is really basically like open opportunity for residents to be
yeah.
there.
They can come in and do anything that's within the restraints of shooting baskets. We're also walking somebody through the gym the other day, and we're going to measure the complete length that it takes to do a lap around there. It might be somewhere around a half mile, so it might be, especially during cool season or super hot season, it might be a great place for people to come run. A few updates from when we presented to council on our cost of stuff. These are basically our memberships, either by month or annually. I know it's a little bit kind of hard to see when you put a script, try to put so much information on here, but the highlighted portion is what we have changed, and I did put something in italics, bold down on the bottom, and I want to make sure everybody that can see this. We've had a lot of questions about scholarships. First thing is our individual annual passes for seniors, vets, militaries, or first responders. We did have that set at the same price as Norman residents. We've had a lot of requests to make those discounts a lot more, or a little bit differentiate from a regular member. So we did take those prices down to on a annual pass is about $50 for individuals, about $50 cheaper a year at $250 for anybody that fits in that category. Family pass for a full year would be $550. Individual pass per month would be $25, or a family pass would be $50. And that's kind of compared to this area up here where you have 300, 630, or 60, depending on what you sign up for. And as scholarships, kind of following the same model that we put it in at the Westwood Pool, we want to make sure that it's accessible and affordable by anybody that wants to come in there. So we kind of measure this off the federal poverty level, or one or right next to if you get free lunch or reduced lunch, depending on what it is, because Norman Public Schools use those same standards. So for an individual, it'd be either if you're on the upper, and it sounds weird, upper end of the poverty scale level, it would be $20 per month or $35 for a family per month. Or on an individual, if you're on that free lunch or the lower end of the poverty, it'd be $10 or $25 a month. So that's new information that we just got out there, and we're going to have those scholarships open year round. So if anybody that fits in those categories that want to come to the YFAC, they can apply for that, and we'll get them hooked up. These are kind of a list of we've been busy trying to get everybody ready to come into the YFAC and have entered into a few agreements. We went over the Optimist Club. Last time I talked to you, we had a signed agreement with them. So we completed our registration period, what we call a community partnership with the Optimist Club, and we have registered over 1,700 kids, which is by far the largest amount that any basketball league has ever registered in Norman. I think the Optimist Club, which has been ticking pretty well the past couple of years, they've been averaging about 1,200, so we're about 500 kids above that for this very first year. We're hoping to start our league here in a couple weeks, and as you look at the gym, we're a little bit scared, so hopefully we'll get access inside that gym and are able to play those basketball games. If not, we have a little bit of a fallback plan of using the Optimist Gym or rec centers and maybe getting some of the schools until the YFAC's ready. We have sent a contract over to Norman Public Schools. We're waiting to hear back from them, but that would just be access for them to use it practices or planned activities for any kind of middle school games or high school games if they need it for $50,000 a year, and that's basically accessing the old TIF funds. When that TIF got unwound, there was $350,000 that's sitting in a pot specifically that only can be used for rental of this complex. Sooner Swim Club, they have verbally committed to the contract that we sent to them. It's $15 per hour per lane and 25% of any swim meet that they have inside there. We have entered an agreement with Rise Volleyball Club. That's $50,000 a year, up to 1,400 hours of rental time, and that's per hour per court. So if they're using one court, that counts as an hour. And most normally, when they're practicing, they'll need anywhere between 3 to 5 courts. So that would probably get soaked up pretty quick, as you would imagine. Y'all approved the contract with Beanstalk Coffee and Snow. Our last council meeting, we were in communication with the Trey Young Family Foundation for the Adidas store. We have entered in a marketing agreement with Youth Scoreboards. It's a local company that owned by Barry Switzer, one of the owners. This is the same group that put in free scoreboards at our baseball Reeves Park complex. So the agreement with them is a full turnkey agreement that they'll sell marketing, and they have to put up on our large video board. They're estimating that they'll bring in between $250,000 to $500,000 a year in sales for marketing on that board. So our agreement's at full turnkey. They do all the design, upload everything, and put the content on that board. 50% of all the sales that they get to keep, and then if we give them leads, which we have plenty of leads, we get to keep 75% of it. We have entered in an agreement with a organization called Student Athlete NIL. Everybody probably heard of, what is it? Image likeness? Names image likeness? There we go. You think if somebody watches much football, I would know all that. But it's an independent group that is one of the leading groups that works with OU Athletics. We have, I believe it's a $10,000 a year agreement, and they're going to get us connected with a bunch of athletes that are currently playing basketball and volleyball at OU, and they're going to do social media campaigns for us, appearances, and even go as far as wearing some of our YFAC gear when they're doing these social media appearances. It's pretty cool, and one of the things that we want to focus on is girls basketball, or with the women's basketball team. We think that that's a market that needs a lot of help. when you compare boys to girls in our basketball leagues, it's about 80% boys and 20% girls. So hopefully we can get those girls or women that play at OU involved, and that they can get our local kids excited about playing basketball. And the last one that we have entered into is a Musco streaming service. This is an agreement with Musco, as obviously it says, but they control all of our streaming cameras that are inside of the WIFAC. So I believe the initial fee to purchase all the cameras is about $300,000. But they have put somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 cameras throughout the center, and our agreement with them is that we get to keep 80%. It's a paywall. It streams any of the events that kind of go on in the WIFAC. And it's a paywall that's up that you have to pay $5 or whatever the price we set it, and we get to keep 80% of whatever that streaming produces. Kind of want to highlight a couple of our important dates. As we hope that youth basketball leagues will begin the week of January 15th. As you can tell, that's in 2 weeks. We are working very, very feverishly to get that done. Hopefully, we'll hit that mark. There's a few electrical things we need in the gym. Our big thing, one of the big things right now we're working on is custom trap doors to hide all of our electrical outlets that's in the floor. We're trying to figure out how to make sure that those get hidden. We realized at some certain point that there were going to be metal panels that, which is a different surface than our wood panels, and one, it wasn't aesthetically very pleasing, and some of them were really, really close to our playing surface. So we wanted to make sure that we had a consistent playing surface to make sure everybody that's playing out there that's safe. We have a ribbon cutting ceremony planned for February 19th. We have sent that out. That's at 3:30 that afternoon. Hope to see everybody there. There's no school that day. It's President's Day. Lucky for us city employees, we get to work on that day, so it's not a normal day off for us anyways. But we're going to have a big ceremony on that day. Try to kick everything off. We'll also have our art dedication that day. I think we're planning on doing our art dedication at 1 o'clock. Then follow up with 3:30 ribbon cutting ceremony, and that's the day after the All-Star game. So Trey will be in town. He'll fly back just to participate in that ribbon cutting ceremony with us. Kind of what we're talking about with the decks getting replaced over there in the pool area. We do think that's going to add a little bit of time. So we don't. We were kind of hoping to have the full facility open on February 19th, but we need to give them probably a little grace period to change everything out and get up and operating. So between the 19th and March 1st, we're going to just do open houses and demonstration classes, demonstration activities. It's going to be completely free to the public. We'll set up pickleball courts one day. We'll have open gym one day. We'll do fitness classes another day. Trying to get as many people in there and interested as possible, and those would just be selected times during that week and a half between the opening and March 4th. And then March 4th, we plan on opening to the public. We hope the pool's ready, but it's going to be kind of a tight window. But we think right now we have good hopes. We're thinking good thoughts. We want you to think good thoughts that all will happen before then. So. I got, once again, I got Trey asking if y'all have any questions. We'll have to answer anything.
Go ahead.
So the pool may not be done by then, but on the ribbon cutting day, would people be able to still see inside there?
So there's our hopes, once again, we're hoping, and
Even if it's just through the doors or the windows, but like being able to
we
see
think
it.
we'll, if the deck's all completely done, we'll be able to go in there. Once the contractor puts plaster in that pool and water, it has to sit for about 2.5 weeks before the State Department of Health will come by and sign our pool permit. So we hope that there will be water in the pool at that point where people can at least walk in there and see what it's going to look like. And we think that, or hope that the water will be in that pool and will give the appearance that we're almost there, but just people can't get in there. And it is the same thing. It's very similar to what happened at the senior center. So we're going to ask planning Jane, you look awfully nice today, that we get a partial occupancy permit of everything that, besides the pool, so that we can get in there, and we're hoping to have that in the next couple of weeks.
The doors are glass though, right? So people could see through
Yeah.
even if it wasn't open. And
Yes.
They could still, okay.
But by February 19th, we think that it will be done in full water. We just don't think we'll have a full sign off to have actual people inside the pool just yet.
And the store won't be open by then, probably?
The store will not be open by then. Right now, as we're getting closer to it, the young families, before we open up for basketball, it's kind of like at the mall. You'll see a big white area with a marketing opportunity on the front of it, and they'll have a door and basically close that area off as the contractors get that store ready. So we'll think that store will probably be ready sometime in March.
Okay. And then, is there a space where you might be able to display this is what we have and this is what could be added on, like with the pickleball courts and the outdoor stuff we talked about and the pool? And like, kind of like, this is amazing, and here's what we even have more in
Oh,
store.
heck yeah. And so we'll have maps of everything, and especially what we could set up so we'll have 8 basketball courts that could be set up. When you walk in there, it's kind of deceiving because we have the big championship court. It looks like we have 7 courts, but it's really 8 courts. And we'll have a setup for if you have a full volleyball tournament going on with 12, and we'll be able to show that on the map. Same thing with pickleball. If you have a big pickleball event going on, you can have up to 18. And we can put that digitally and have it rotating on any of our televisions that are going on in there. And all of our televisions are the AV company that we're working with. It's all going to be, well, I think we have 20-something TVs in there, and plus the big screen displays, not including. We'll be able to control and market anything we want to on that. So we'll be able to definitely advertise what it could be or it can be.
Okay, thanks.
So we haven't heard a lot about the Norman Regional space.
Mm-hmm.
When are they planning to be operational, and like what is their build out looking like?
So they're pretty much in line with us. They are actually, I think that their punch out list or their walkthrough is Monday. Ours is the following Tuesday. And once we do our walkthrough and develop our punch list, that's when we start turning to planning and asking for partial occupancy permits. So it's hard to believe that, in 2019 we started designing and went through a pandemic, and now it's 2024. It seems like yesterday, but it's been an awfully long period. But next week we're doing our walkthroughs, what we think are our final walkthroughs, but everything but the pool, and the hospitals is the day before ours. So they'll be Monday and Tuesday. Once they get their punch out list, they're going to start moving stuff in. But they think, we talked about, we'll know more when the clinic's going to open next week, but we think that they're going to be sometime right when we are shooting, somewhere around March when they
Okay,
open.
so they can't move in until you get all of that kind of completed and.
Correct.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
they have to do a walkthrough and get their punch list and ready as go, and then they have to get a temporary occupancy permit, which I think was what they'll probably get as well, to occupy.
Okay,
I have 2 questions.
sure.
Jason. You're speaking about agreements and receiving, I guess, pledge a percentage of the revenue from certain agreements, right?
Mhm.
Is there a way to track how much money they would be earning as it relates to the WAFAC? So say you have an agreement with somebody and they make $300,000 off the
Yeah.
advertisements in the WAFAC of the events, and your agreement is 80% or 50%, 75%, whatever you said, and you actually only get 50% of 200,000.
Yep.
How would you track that? They didn't.
So as part of our agreements, and we can share that with you, Shakira, that they have to, especially with our marketing firm that we're working with, that every agreement that they sign, they have to give to us, so we'll know exactly, and we sign off and approve all the marketing agreements, so we don't get weird things that pop up on our big screens or videos that are going on that we don't approve of. But we see those agreements as they get approved, and we know exactly what the payout is.
Okay.
And as evidence or ticketing that, we'll have a history in this program that we're looking at, and we'll be able to tell how many times it rolls through our computer and shows up on the displays.
Okay, thank you.
But on a different, so if we're talking about with Sooner Swim Club and they're having a tournament there, not as documented, but we'll be depending on them to turn in gate receipts and how much that entry fee is. So if your entry fee is $100 per team and we have 3 teams participating, that's pretty easy to calculate. But if they're charging an admission charge, more than likely they'll collect the revenue, and we'll depend on them to turn in those receipts to us at the end of the day.
Another question?
Yeah, I may have another one, but I'm just gonna.
Working it up?
Thank you.
Okay.
I think we're just waiting on you because
Oh,
I don't know
sorry.
if there's any other questions for the council.
I'll let you know.
Okay. Okay. Councilmember Holden.
Just to
You
be
have time.
clear too, we got the land for this through the TIF deal.
Mhm.
By ending the previous TIF. Part of the agreement was we got this land for free.
I wouldn't call it free. We paid for a price and then they gave us back
Right.
incentives on
Reduced.
top of
A
it.
reduced rate,
Yeah.
per square foot.
And did we get any TIF funds? Did you mention that for this? I
We
recall
did, yeah, we reallocated some remaining funds, I believe that were for the cultural facility, renamed them recreational facility funds with that project plan amendment and allocated that towards this project. I wanna say it was about 3.5 million, does that sound right?
I think the purchase of the land was 2.5, and I think the money we got back was 3.2 million, and ended up because
It's around about 5.
it took so long to start the project, it sit in an interest accruing account, and we got about 3.5 million once we withdrawed it and added it to the project amount.
And before this location, where were we gonna do it?
There was a couple of places mentioned. Great question. We were talking over there kind of by the YMCA, or Optimus Gym was our main area that we were talking about. I think there was other ones that got suggested, but this was the main one that was pushed forward. I remember the ADG did at some point a 3-site plan. It was, and I don't remember the third site off the top of my head.
It was either at Reeves or,
Oh, it was Ruby Grant. It was
Ruby
where,
Grant, that's
yeah,
what it was.
it was at Ruby Grant.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, thanks.
One more question on these contracts. Sorry. Is there an audit clause in those contracts for the third party?
Yes.
Councilmember Nash.
All right, so the 70 hours a week that are being committed to public passive activities, is that 100% of the facilities being available to the public during that time?
It'd probably be no. So it'd be a portion of the facility. And we don't think if we had 100% of the facility open that it would be anywhere close to being occupied. It's very large. So when you're talking about when we'll have an open lane or open lanes or open courts, that would be what we consider into that 70 hours a week. So if we have games going on 6 courts and we have 2 courts available for the public time, we would consider that part of our 70 hours a week.
Okay, so at least a portion of each activity area will be available to
Yes.
the public. All right.
And I don't want to commit to any hours, but I would say the majority of the time that it's all going to be divided up into different activities, but the whole place will be, besides the pool's pretty, it's chunked up between swim club, the high schools, or home schools, a few other groups. But we think that the majority of the time we've always left like 2 or 3 lanes open where people can come and do laps.
Okay.
And when you're swimming laps too, don't think of it as like the Olympics where there's one person per lane. Typically, those lanes are about 6 feet wide, so you can fit 2 or 3 swimmers in there. They're going back and forth at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, I really appreciate the work you put into getting that language in there.
Any other questions from the committee? Okay, thank you for the work. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see this move forward and that we finally have a ribbon cutting date, and it's been a long time
No
coming.
clue how excited we are to get to February 19th.
All right, if there are no final questions, this meeting is adjourned.
Right.